Book 1. The Beginning of the End. Chapter 1. I woke up shaking. I panicked at first, thinking I was having a stroke or something. Then I opened my eyes, relieved, as I remembered it wasn't me that was shaking. It was my apartment. Outside the wall of dusty industrial-style windows beside my bed came what sounded like a regiment of giants rhythmically striking concrete with their rifle butts in a parade drill. But it wasn't the Jolly Green Marines. I knew it was the elevated #1 Broadway local, rattling to shake the dead back to life next to my new 5th-floor Harlem loft apartment. Hadn't gotten used to that train yet. I winced, covered my head with a pillow. Useless. Only in New York did one have to actually pay for the privilege of sleeping beside an overpass. But I was so broke, I couldn't even afford to complain. I sat up. I couldn't even really afford to sleep. I couldn't even afford to think about money. I'd spent it all and then some. My credit was in the sewer. By that point, I was in tunnel vision mode, focusing my entire life on one desperate need: to figure things out before it was too late. Things hadn't always been so dire. Only 2 years before, not only had I lived in a non-vibrating apartment, I was actually on the PhD fast track at Columbia University. I was the golden boy in the ecology, evolution, and environmental biology department. So close to the brass ring, I could practically smell the book contracts, the cocktail parties, the cushy university appointments. But then I came into contact with the event, what others called the mistake, that changed my life. I noticed something that wasn't quite right, something I couldn't let go. That's the way it happens sometimes. Life is flowing along like a fairy tale, and then you see something that you just can't categorize. Something that starts filling your every thought, your every dream, your every waking moment. At least that's the way it happened with me. One minute I was about to realize my goal of academic greatness, and the next I was wrestling with something I couldn't stop thinking about, something I couldn't shake, even as my world crashed around my ears. I know how nuts it sounds. Intellectual promise plus obsession plus throwing away conventional success usually ends pretty badly. It certainly did for Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, and Chris McCandless, the Into the Wild guy who died on that bus. But I wasn't some malcontent or mystic trying to form a deep, intrinsic connection to an ultimate reality. I was more like Chicken Little, an evolutionary biologist Chicken Little, who had detected that the sky actually was falling. Except it wasn't the sky that was falling. It was worse. Biological life was falling. Animal life itself. Something very, very weird and very, very bad was happening, and I was the only voice shouting in the wilderness about it. Before I get ahead of myself, my name's Oz. My first name's Jackson, but with a last name like mine, no one uses it. Unfortunately, my father is also known as Oz, as are my mother, my 3 sisters, my uncles, and all my paternal cousins, which gets confusing at family reunions, but that's neither here nor there. What is here and there, everywhere, is the problem I was monitoring, the global problem I'd by that point pretty much devoted my life to trying to figure out. It sounds grandiose, I know, but I feared that if I were right, and for the first time in my life I truly hoped I was wrong, a planetary paradigm shift was underway that was going to make global warming feel like a Sunday stroll through an organic community garden.